In this video, we're going to explore in Chart.js how to remove data entries from tooltip or from a tooltip in Chart.js 3. So what is very important here is the following. I got this question here basically from Stack Overflow. You have this situation here. You can find this exact situation here. You can read this thread, and then here it says the following. All right, it has a simple donut chart. And then if we go in here, which turns out into this, I have the same code, and you can copy this code as well. And then it says the following. How to remove the 65 at the very end of the tooltip that pops up while hovering. As you can see here, after that here, after the percentage, and then you have these values here. And what he wants to do is he wants to adjust it so he knows it's possible with the callbacks, which is correct. Callbacks are needed here, and to customize the tooltip. So let's start and explore and do this or solve this tiny issue here. So I have this here, and then I'm going back here to my own version here. As you can see, we have exactly the same copied version here, and to be honest, I like the color combination here. It's quite nice. So what can we do? Let's go down here, scroll down here, and what we can do, well, first a few things that I will say as a quick note. You can see here, you have hard-coded the values here together, which are along here, which I would personally not recommend. I would soft-code this, or at least these two values here could be soft-coded, and I will cover that later on. What I first want to figure out is the tooltip. So we're going down here then, and let's fine-tune this, because I sincerely believe that if you are programming, you should soft-code as much as possible, so you don't have to do any maintenance afterwards, or as minimum as possible. All right, so in here in the legend, we're going to put in tooltip. Remember, it's tooltip, no S. And then you have here the curly braces. Make sure you have the colon here. And then in here, we have the callbacks with S, curly braces, and then in here we say label. Label, and then we say here function. And this function here, we're going to put in a certain value. And this value will help us to explore or dissect Chart.js canvas tag from the inside out. And this is the one that's really phenomenal. We say here context. So this basically shows us everything here. So once we save this and refresh, you will see nothing happens here. But if you open up our developer tab, oh, of course, sorry, I need to give here something more. Basically, we create this function, and this function will trigger if you hover over by default, because the tooltip is a hover over trigger event. So we say here console.log context. All right, save this. And then refresh here, and then pay attention here on our developer tab. Bam, there you are. So we get all of this information here, and you can see here we get all these. I assume that these are German cities or cities in a German-speaking country, because you can see all of the German language in here. And then you see here Buchen 65%. All right, so that's the one. And what we want to do here is basically we get the label here, and we can find here, because this is the first element, meaning index 0. And as you can see here, we get the index data number 0, which is correct. So if we go on this, what do you call this, marine green, if we hover over it, well, and hover over just only once, and you can see it triggers very much, which is Eschen. So we click on this, you can see here index data number 1. All right, so we are already able to figure out, oh, sorry about that, but we're able now to figure out how this works. And what we have to do here is, of course, use the tooltip item together in conjunction with or in combination with the data index. All right, so now you get this part, and I hope you understand it, because that's really important part. But let me show you exactly. If you didn't understand it very well, let me show you the very straightforward way. All right. We have our console log here. The next one, what I want to do is we want to extract that specific value here. So we're going to say here, we're going to create a let value, we say label equal. So we're going to, or this would be label value, doesn't matter. But this is label equal, and then what we're going to do is the following. Where can we find the label? Well, basically, pay attention here. This is the array structure. And you can see here my chart, data, labels. All right, and then we have here, of course, the array number. So basically, this would be, instead of Buchen, this should be 0. And instead of Eschen, this should be number 1, basically. Alright? So that is basically what we need, and you can see here we get that info already with the data index. So we get this valuable source of information already. You can see it here. This is basically what we need every time here. So if you hover over the number, what is this? This is the number, the 5th element, which is number, or is that number 4, index number 4, nanoholds. I hope I pronounced it correctly. And then you can see here index data number 4. So you get here already the most important information, and this is what I'm going to use, and this is what you're going to use as well to indicate the numbers. All right, so we have this here. We say here my chart dot, and then we get here, we say here the data dot, and then we get here the labels. Why labels? Well, this is the structure, my chart data labels. And then here, of course, we can hard code this with 0, and after we're going to soft code that based on the hover effect, what we had with this simple code. All right. So once we save this here, refresh, and now if you hover over here, oh, sorry, I need to not hover over. I need to make a console log on this value, or we can even say here, return, and then we can say here label. We want to return the label, which will basically give us the return value here. There you are. As you can see, we're returning this value, and I have these values in here. Let me remove that one here up. Sorry, I left that one in here. That should not be. All right. So here we return this label, but you will see here, pay attention here to the label. Buchen 65, Buchen 65, etc., etc. So it gets the only one. However, it very validates our suspicion of how it works. Yes, this is the number. So everything what we need now is, and most likely we need something else more, but we're going to get this one first. Data index, see if this would be sufficient enough. So once we save this, refresh, let's see what happens. All right, now you see you get an error here. And the reason why is, it doesn't understand that you're on the tooltip. So basically it gets the number, but we need to get the tooltip item, because this is basically a tooltip item number 0. So what is really here is not only 0 for the index, but basically there's the tooltip item, which we hover. So basically there's a 0 already, 0.0. This is the official value. So if you do 0, 0, it should get now the correct value here. If we save this, refresh, let's see. All right, you can see here, this works because it understands you're on the tooltip right now. And that's why, which item are you on? Well, on the first item of the tooltip. This is why we need tooltip item. So I'm going to remove context now, because we're going to activate the tooltip item. This is the most important one. And then we say here tooltip item, and then we say here the following, which is the, let's get that one, data index. Save this here, refresh. Context not defined. Of course, we didn't have any context anymore. Delete that one. Save that. Refresh. Now we have Buchen. Now we have Eschen. Now we have Ahorn. Now we have a long city. Yeah, I won't even pronounce it. And nanoholds. All right. We've got all of these. What we want to do now is, of course, because look here, we have this number, and then we have this hard-coded stuff here. Absolutely hideous, or not recommended. Let's soft code this. How do we soft code this? So this is basically the bonus what we can do here, and that's basically this here. We're going to create here basically a new array, and this new array contains these values here. It's as simple as that. We're going to say here, and we say here constant, and this constant will have the name data value. And let's just make sure it's unique, because if you would use data here, that might be conflict. I would say just give it something unique so it's not identical. So if the data value, or maybe the data value is fine, and then we have the data text. And what is the data text? Well, you guessed it. It will be this here exactly. And then we're going to do some tiny adjustments here. And this will be data text or data labels. And what are our data labels? That's this one here. We put it in here, but we're going to remove all of this excess here. No need. I like to use single quotes instead of double quotes for JavaScript. If you're in PHP, double quotes is more common. But of course, it depends what you prefer. Then we have this one here. then here, and then we have Eichen. Let's put that in here. Eichen, and I see a double space here. Linden und weitere Laubholzer. That's this one here. That's a long city or something else. And Naderholz. Alright, we've got all of these now. So the next thing we want to do is, of course, combine these here. So we say here data value. And there you are, it equals data value. And then we have this one, and that will equal all of this here. Well, in this case, sorry, this should not be here, of course. The reason why is we need to get these values in here and then combine them, or concatenate them. That's the right term, concatenate the values. All right, so what is then what we have? Well, we have the data labels, and we know this is number 0. So we're going to just, this part is the only part hard-coded. We can do it with a count and index of, but for now I will keep the scope minimal just to focus on the answer and just only fine-tune this tiny thing, because apparently the person indicated that this was more than sufficient for his or her design. So, but of course, if you want to get more specific and more better, you see you can fine-tune it a bit more, and I like to have that, just that little bit of extra. All right, in here we say this, the data label. Why data label 0? Because we want the first element, which is index number 0. All right, and then we say plus. And what would be our plus? Well, how will it look like? Well, we have the city name, space, then we have these parentheses open, then the value, and then we have the percentage and the parentheses close. And this should not be here. So let's go and do this. So then we say here plus single quotation, another single quotation, put in a space here, make sure you put a space here. And then we say again plus what exactly? Well, the data value number 0. And then what we do more is, then we have, once we're done with that, we can say again plus single quotation, and between here percentage and closing parentheses. Once we did that, we are basically done with our design. Copy and paste all of this here. And then later on, we just have to adjust the numbers. Oh, sorry, did I put in here the values? Oh, yeah, that's correct. And then here again. And then finally, here again. So this is slightly confusing, and maybe that should be in a more better structure organized, but that's all right. So what we have to double check here is, are we correctly in here? Just to make sure. Data labels. We have everything, and then I feel like we missed something. No, we have the commas. Correct. All right, so let me just put in an enter here just to make it a bit easier to read, because you can see here it gets slightly messy. All right, so this looks good. Then what I want to do here is I want to say 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember, because of the array on the array start with 0. If I save this, I should see here, oh, unexpected token. Let's see what is our mistake. Data sets, all right. The data set has unexpected token. What is the unexpected token? Here on the data set. So let's double check here what's going on here. Did I have any mistakes in here? Let's see. And if this would maybe create somehow a mistake or an issue, we might be able to solve this with combining these together. So let me just refresh one more time just to double check. Here we have the data set here, syntax column. All right, so let me double check. So after some quick checking, sorry, I noticed it quite quickly here. Let me show it to you. So when we did these enters here, you can see I copy and paste, and without paying attention, I copied these here. Forbidden. Do not copy these here. Why? Because we have this one here. This is the array, starting array, and then here we have the closing array. So if we do this, there we are. Now we get the values here exactly as desired. Matching here, everything is matching. Now it looks perfect. Do we get any errors? No. There we are. Exactly as we needed. This is the way to do it. So very easy. Can we do it better? Absolutely. There's still some fine tuning here. You could even combine these together and then just show the the merging version of this putting in here, plus this could be even calculated with another function, but for now it's okay. I don't want to spend too much time on that, and maybe I will make another video for that specifically. However, this is the way to do it, and I believe this would be far more better. And then you have all of these options here. And then as a bonus, maybe you would say, well, I like this, but I don't want to have these values here. I just wanted people to hover over. Can we do this? Absolutely, we can do that. Let's do that one. That's a extra bonus for now. All right. So what we're going to do here is I want to go back here. We have this here. Well, what we can do is here, I'll just say let value equal, and then here we're going to get the following. Where is the value? Well, you probably would know where the value is. It's basically it's in here. We go from my chart data, not labels, my chart data, then to data sets. And then in data sets, we have here the data basically. All right, so my chart dot data sets dot data. All right. So far we're here. Remember, data sets is an array as well. Then we have the data as well, which is data. And then I can give you the quick answer, but let's explore this again with, instead of the item here, we put in context. Text. Then I need to comment out this temporary, just to make sure. And then I will say here, console.log, because if I show this, it might give an error. Well, we can double check. We can test that if that will give an error. And if not, then it's alright. Let's refresh here. Alright, unexpected token. Where are we? Value let. No, okay. In this case, this is my mistake here. Try again. Alright, oh, that works fine. So no problem. So hover over here. Alright, console. The console gives here an error as well. But that's alright. We get the core info. The core info is this one here. Alright, so what do we need here just to help you out? Well, we know the number one is the tooltip. So there will be a number here, which is, this is the tooltip. This is always the tooltip because when you hover over it, the tooltip is the indicator. So which element are you on, or which tooltip item are you hover over? Yes, this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright? So that's number one. Of course, then the next one will be, what is the data set here? Well, we can find this well. Right? So remember, we went here from my chart data sets. So all we have to do here is basically check here. Just go in here. My chart, we have the data index, data set, and the data set will get, if we hover over this item here, just I did it multiple times. Oops, sorry, I think there's way too much information. Let me refresh this one more time, sorry. And then I'm just going to this item here. Alright. So once we are here on Ashen will give us data index number 1, which is correct. And you can see here in the data set, which will give us the data set 0, but in reality it is the data set but data 1. So all we need to do is basically here we can just grab this one. Let's grab that one, data index. We grab the data index because that's the one that makes sense. And I say here in the data set, oh, all right, that's the reason why it's in the 0, because the data item is here, which is of course correctly because we were here. Then we go in here. This is the second element, which is index 1. Then the other one, the data set. So why is data set then 0? Yeah. So let me explain to you immediately. If you look here in the array, this is the data labels. Let me put all of this here. So I'm trying to be very elaborate here, so sorry about it if this video takes a bit longer, but I want to make sure you understand the process behind this. Alright, so we have this, and we can move this one here up as well. Alright, so because basically here we are in the data, and data here is 0. So we go to 0 data because this is the index 0. Then we go to data sets, and then here we go into the data. Alright, so this is the most important one. So the data, you could be another set of data with another bar or another circle in here, and then it would be data set number 1 or number 2. How many circles or donut charts are included in there. All right, so that's the most important one. So this explains it. You should know this now. If you don't know or still struggle with my explanation, put it in the comment section below. I will try to make a separate video for that then. All right, we've got this now. We have this covered. There we are. So we save this. Context should be, well, let's save this and see how it works. We get this here. All right, I want to remove a few items. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove this here. Sorry, this one must be tooltip item because it must be focused on the tooltips, not on the context of showing everything. So I'm going to remove this one here because the tooltip item is basically the hoovering. So it's directly linked to the hoovering effect. All right. So the function is when you hover over this, it grabs the item, etc., etc. All right. So we have this, and then what I want to do is I want to say here plus concatenate, and then we say here space, then another plus, the value will be the number, plus this, and I say percentage that. Save this, refresh, and now I hope to have the value. There you are, or I hope I already know the value will come out. So this is it. Then you can of course remove here the value, but what will happen if you remove the value here, of course, what will happen is you won't see it in the label anymore, but this is more common, like this. However, I understand why you would like to do this with steady values here. Why? Mobile responsiveness or on mobile. If you are on a desktop with the mouse is fine, but if you're on mobile, you have to press individually on all of these items, which doesn't make any sense. So that's why, And of course, here you see here, this is being the items being cut. I can solve that because I have a fixed width here. Let's put the 700, which I expect that to be fine by now. All right, that's it for now. So this covers everything here so far we did, and I did even like a bonus where we show the values here, which is absolutely fun. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you have questions, put them in the comment section below. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope you enjoy it. And if you enjoy this video, you probably will enjoy this one as well. And if you're interested in Chart.JS, check out in the description box the link directing to my Chart.JS course where you can learn everything about Chart.JS. And finally, of course, make sure you subscribe to my channel.